We are here for FriYAY. Yes, and now we're everywhere. I see TikTok is now accepted our stream. We are streaming, and you may or may not know who we are. So let me tell you. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service, and joining me right here, who are you?
We have Scott Matthews from our investigative office.
Yes, doing amazing things with stuff and things where people are like, who's this guy coming on? Like, you've been here before. You've been here a lot. Actually, you and I used to do a ton of stuff on social media, much more regularly. And we had lots of plans, and we keep on getting distracted with other things. We circle back. For anyone who wonders where I get the magical content for the occasional video, it used to be every Monday that I would just take all the data that you put on your Twitter post and just make a TikTok video about it. But you're big into the whole impaired driving, or at least the stats and tracking the investigations and all that jazz. So I love that. You give me great information that I need to go back and do like a year of catch up.
Yes, there's. I get up every Monday morning. I'm slacking lately, and try to get the impaired out probably by late Monday. Just matters how my day goes. So I'm just getting really busy in the investigative office.
I got to give you this a little closer because the microphone will like you more if you're closer to it. You sound much better now. Let me see here. I saw Chase, who was hanging out in the pre-show. Apparently, they can actually be in the room and chat. So I hadn't even gone live, but I saw you chatting there, Chase, and I was going to try and get involved with saying hello back. And then I realized it was 10 o'clock and I had to press live. But good morning to you, and good morning. JD is in the room. So if you're in the chat room and you want to send us stuff from the TikTok chat, know that JD will be transferring your questions into our main chat so we can put it up on the screen, just like the morning boys message from Jacob. That is the way. Oh, and by the way, happy St. Patrick's Day. I didn't know it was today.
Yes, I forgot.
I thought it was this weekend because I attribute it to the weekend. So because that's when the parades are, but I didn't realize it was today until I started seeing the green everywhere, and I feel bad now. I don't have the appropriate color attire on.
I didn't either.
Well, we'll just have to make it a better job next week. Akila Draconis comes in with greetings, salutations, and top of the morning.
Top of the morning.
Well, to the rest of the day to you, good sir. So many people don't realize that rest of the day to you is the formal response to top of the morning, and I didn't until my buddy Mike explained it to me.
I didn't know that either.
See, top of the morning and the rest of the day to you. Test work, Chase testing our technology. Tim, who says, good morning, Sean and Scott. Thank you. Tracy says, who dat? Did you miss our intro? And that's Scott Matthews, Sean Shapiro. We're traffic cops, and we're answering your traffic and police questions. Let's see here. Big Jeff Fresh with a good morning, sirs. Good morning, happy Friday, and happy St. Patrick's Day from Stephen. Good morning, and good to see you again. Good morning from my wife, Leo wife. In case anyone's wondering, like, my wife's name is not Leo. It's law enforcement officer wife. Leo is the acronym. Maybe we need Leo to be all caps to make that sense. But good morning. I love you. And of course, it means the entire family is watching because it's March break. We've had a traffic safety campaign running all week, and actually 2 weeks. This is week 2, and we've been talking about the effects of the daylight saving time. How have you been feeling?
Well, I actually took a couple days off this week. I had to go skiing.
That's tough.
It was. I'm an early riser anyway, so I did get to sleep in an extra hour, even though we lost an hour.
If you need water, I give you water.
Thank you.
So you got an extra hour.
I get an extra hour because I was off Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
I just realized that Instagrams can see your shoulder, but they can't see anything else.
How's that?
It is better. We got half our heads in. By the way, for you on Instagram, if you're tired of looking at a fraction of us, you can see our entire set, and with all the graphics that we do when we're live on the other channels. You can come onto the YouTube channel, possibly for the best best view and ability to see your questions appear on screen. Of course, you can also get us on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, but Twitter can't ask questions. And I realized I started talking to you, and I kind of skipped our general routine of stuff and things. If you want to ask us questions, please send them. This show is all about your questions. If you don't ask us anything, we'll just talk about what we care about and totally ignore you. But you can change that by asking questions and directing the flow of the show. It's all about you. Now, If you would be so kind as to put the letter Q in front of a question, so I know that it's a question and not you guys bantering amongst yourselves, because we have a community here. People just, talk amongst themselves. So that's the thing. Other things to talk about, and that I realize, again, with the whole FriYAY, is it this button? It is this button.
Oh,
It's the FriYAY button. Uh, I wanted to mention it quickly before we get too out of control here. Vision Zero Enforcement Team. They are a group of officers that go out every single day making a difference in different communities. And they're all Toronto communities. They're neighborhoods that they focus on based on information provided by our analysts. And today they are in 14 Division and 33 Division. Those are the communities, the neighborhoods of Christie, Ossington, Annex, Little Italy, Park, Woods, Donalda, Bayview Village, York Mills, just to name a few. Real people who live, work, and play in those areas deserve to be safe. And these officers are focusing on the big four. Those are the folks who are the offenses of speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired operation. And you are big into the impaired operation, which is where I should have started off before, talking about impaired stuff.
no, I
This,
am.
this was the segue.
That's right. I enjoy enforcing and looking for impaired drivers, and I like to educate the public about them.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, I mean, when we were kids, when I was a kid, and you and I are older than a lot of people watching, but we heard about don't drink and drive and drive sober. And there was, OSED, Ontario Students Against Impaired Driving, and the Mothers Against Drunk Driving. All these organizations, all this education was around when we were kids.
Yep.
It's still happening.
Yes.
So how come?
It's because people aren't listening.
And even if they're hearing it, they're not processing it and not making it, not changing their behavior or making plans.
Yes.
Because I always say, if you just plan your this is a weekend of partying. People are going to be out. I got Chase's 4-leaf clovers on screen. People are going to go out and have a good time, and that's awesome because we want you to have fun. We want you to go, blow off steam and party and enjoy life. Because if you're not enjoying life, there's a problem. You got to take advantage of those opportunities. But in enjoying life, you shouldn't risk life and put others in harm's way, which is exactly what happens if you get behind the wheel of a motor vehicle or a conveyance under the influence of drugs or alcohol. So, in Toronto in particular, there are so many options. You can go and you can have a sober driver as a designated person in your party, not designated driver, because that just means the person who's least drunk drives, and that's not okay. Someone who's designated sober, and that's one way. But there's transit, there's taxis, there's Ubers, there's no excuses. So many options.
Toronto is endless. Even a lot of the GTA. If you live out in Durham region, you can take the GO train, or live out in Burlington, you come downtown to Toronto, take the GO train back out, grab an Uber or grab a taxi, and get yourself home.
Yeah, no excuse. And there's even services that will pick up your car and drive you and your car, because they bring a driver and a two persons arrive. One drives your car to your home, and you get in the other one as a ride share of sorts.
Yes.
So many good options, no excuses. And if the people who say, well, that's expensive, that's a cost. Yeah, the average cost of killing somebody by way of impaired driving, a lot more.
So I can tell you, and I do tweet about this when I do ride programs, and it's been pretty well every weekend as of late. Even if you get a 3-day suspension, and that's for blowing a warn range reading, you're below the criminal code limit, but we do have provincial limits. So a G1, a G2, or a driver under the age of 22 can't have any alcohol. And if you get caught, you lose your license for 3 days.
Mhm.
The cost of getting the license back is $531.
Really? I thought it was always 300 something. So 500?
Yes, there's a administration fee of $250 and a penalty of $281. I might have those two backwards, but there's the fees to get your license back is $531.
And that suspension shows up on your license record. So even if you don't have a charge or a conviction, the suspension is going to be seen by your insurance company.
So you can see it. I can say it's shouldn't be a factor, but it can be a factor because it will. You can see that's been suspended, and we can see it's been suspended,
Mhm.
and it goes up from that: 3 days the first time, 7 days for the second time, and 30 days for the third time.
And that's within a 10 years. So it's not like you can have a oopsie-doo, every once in a while. That once in a while is a decade,
Yep.
which means we're paying attention and we're looking for issues, and we're trying to prevent and change behavior. But at the end of the day, you're the only person who can control you. We shouldn't have to run after you to check and make sure that you're going to do the right thing. You should do the right thing because it's the right thing.
That's right.
And that goes for all sorts of things when we talk about impaired driving in general. But the speeding thing, I get into a big argument with people because they all say, well, it's not speeding that kills, it's the rapid deceleration and hitting something. I'm like, yeah, technically you could be correct that coming to the stop hurts more than actually traveling at speed. But what they fail to realize is that when you are traveling at speed or speeds well above the speed limit, you've reduced your reaction time, you've increased the velocity that you're going to hit something. So the odds of or greater damage caused. And then when you hit someone, the chances of them dying are incredibly. And it's not like you go 10 kilometers an hour and it's like 10% more. It's like 10 times more. It's a order of magnitude difference in the damage.
Exponential.
Yeah. What do we have? Let's get into some questions because I feel like we've been ignoring everybody. I was just going ranting about stuff, which I can do on occasion. So apologies to those who feel ignored. Let's see here. Close of that and close of this. All right. We have Richard who has a question. Is it Richards? Richards has a question. Can you talk about provincial e-bike laws? We can. We most definitely can. And I actually skipped a bunch of questions out of order, so we'll come back. Things update, they scroll, and I missed them. So I haven't missed. If you didn't get your question answered, either stick around or know that this will be available for replay because people got to work. I understand. We're going to try and answer everything that's there. And if we missed you, it'll be available in the replay on YouTube. You can even get it on the on our Twitch. Actually, the Twitch for Toronto Police doesn't have enough followers to allow you to record, but it's available for replay on Twitch on the VoiceOver Cup Twitch. So there you go. So provincial e-bike laws. First off, e-bikes it's no longer a pilot. It's actually they're legal. 32 kilometers an hour maximum speed on a flat surface. So obviously, if it goes downhill, that's not, you can go, if it goes over, you're not in trouble. But if you are doing 33 kilometers an hour, capable of doing anything more than 32 kilometers an hour on a flat surface, you're a motor vehicle again. That blessing of being an e-bike is gone. It evaporates. And you are on a vehicle that requires license ownership and insurance. And people say, well, what, 33? Who cares? Well, the truth is we see people, we've had people going on the DVP 90 kilometers an hour on an e-bike. Yep. Not cool. Not cool. That's a motor vehicle, requires license ownership and insurance. What else? Needs to have a helmet. 16 years old.
Can't be using it on the sidewalk. I've seen people operate these things on the sidewalks.
Yeah. I wonder if that, actually, and you must 16 years old to operate, but it's 16 years old to be on it. Yesterday, when I was grabbing lunch, I noticed a female rider who had a child, like a little kid on a little, I guess like a pillow on the back of the bicycle rack. Not legal.
Well, so an e-bike, you can have a passenger on there as long as it's designed to accommodate a passenger. So if it's a one-person e-bike, you cannot have a passenger.
But if they're 16, would that not require the passenger to be 16 as well?
That's correct.
Okay,
that's correct. But I'm just saying, I sometimes I'll see them out on the road where somebody's driving an e-bike and the other person's hanging on the back of it or trying to fit in the back, but it's actually only meant for one person.
Gotcha. I like that. Now, what is this? We got Richards. We got another follow-up question. Now, those e-bike laws are different than cargo e-bikes. There's a pilot for cargo e-bikes. So with a regular e-bike, we know that we're good to 120 kilos. Anything heavier is not an e-bike. But that changed a little bit with the pilot because now you have, if it's a cargo qualified e-bike, it can be more than 120 kilos.
That I'm not sure of. Now, I saw them back in the summer. A couple of the courier companies, the big courier companies had them. I saw them down near the station, but I haven't seen them lately. Don't know if they're not using them in the winter or I just haven't seen them.
I have seen a whole bunch. There's a bunch of, I've seen them towing trailers actually.
Oh, really?
I took that off the screen by accident. But before we move on to a different topic, there's e-bikes and there's e-kick scooters. E-kick scooters are under a different whole ball of wax. It's a whole different situation. They are on a pilot that is provincial. However, I'm looking at myself on the screen as I read. Really, I should be looking at the camera. The deal is that the pilot is an opt-in pilot. So the framework is there, but the municipalities have to say yes. Guess what? Toronto said no. So any type of e-kick scooter is prohibited in the city of Toronto. There's those one-wheel mono balance things. Absolutely prohibited everywhere. They're not e-kick scooters and they're not e-bikes. They are unsafe motor vehicles. And we've seen charges laid against operators of those who have become involved in collisions. Those things have no brakes, no steering. They are totally dangerous and do speeds like 60K plus an hour.
I've seen them fast.
There's a couple of people who blocked us, so we can't watch their accounts because we can't create other accounts to look at them. But the the logic of we're not letting the police look, yeah, we still see them. So they're doing crazy stuff, and they're going sidewalk. There's charges to lay against those people for driving on the sidewalk, for unsafe maneuvers, for putting people at all sorts of risk. And when they actually get involved in collisions, they're not getting paid because they caused those collisions, and I doubt they're going to win any lawsuits when they try and sue the driver for hitting them. Just saying. Just saying. Uh, Big Jeff Fresh says it takes about 4 days to reclimate. Reclimate? Did I pronounce that correctly? To time
Yep.
change. I'm obviously still having a problem because on the way home last night, I was having micro sleeps. That's where you're doing that thing where you caught yourself, and I had to pull off and rest because it hit me like a hammer. I don't know what happened. I went home and took an hour and a half nap.
Well,
I did not feel well. Oh, here's a follow up to questions, and I'm glad. I'm glad to that you brought this up because I totally forgot. Aiden asks about 66 cubic centimeters, which is an engine displacement for motorized bicycles. Well, actually, no motorized bicycles, when it comes to gas power, are permitted. E-bikes are very specific electric powered, and those are the only ones that are permitted. If you start talking about bikes that are gas powered, they're motorcycles. They require license, ownership, and insurance, and there's no exception. Nothing, not a zilch. And Larry, I just looked over and saw the TikTok chat saying e-bikes accident, why no insurance? Well, because when they're bikes, and if they're not bikes, they're motorcycles and do require insurance. E-kick scooters, do you know if you put a seat on them, they're instantly a motorcycle?
I did not know that.
And they have a 24-kilometer-an-hour maximum speed. I've jumped all over the place here, but yeah, things that pop into my mind. Yeah, totally different. Let's see here.
There's lots of shiny things on this side. I've never been on this side before.
No, yeah, you're usually on the other side, even though, and that was deceiving because it had the camera pointed at you, but you couldn't see yourself, so it changes everything. Okay, we talked about that. Okay, we're going to talk about this. I'm just flagging a couple of things. Chris Orr wants to know, why aren't we wearing green? You are most absolutely correct. We're not, and that's because we didn't. And my wife will is telling you they forgot. I thought it was this weekend. It's always on the weekend.
I get up at 3:30 in the morning, so
you weren't really clear.
I wasn't. No.
Oh, here, this is a good question about speed enforcement. We're going to go through and get all of these. And Chase, you asked earlier, and while I'm going through all the questions, the answer is we're both first-class constables. Well, I think your designation is detective constable because you're in the D's office.
Yes.
But at the same time, we're both first class.
The difference is I wear plain clothes, not a uniform during the day. Normally, I put this Toronto Police sweater on to come up here, but I normally wear a suit or some kind of casual clothes for my job.
Yes, it's a different role. But in terms of the actual who pays, sorry, I'm reading a question while I'm answering. We're equal in all other
Yes.
aspects. 9 questions that I can start answering. Okay. Rainbow Bright. If I wrap my vehicle, do I have to change the color with the DMV? Well, it's Department of Motor Vehicles is a U.S. Term. We have the Ministry of Transportation here, and yes, you have to go to Service Ontario in the province of Ontario within 6 days to change the color. And there was another one that you would do if you change the engine's cylinder rate. That's another thing that's.
Yep.
I don't know anybody who goes out and just pops out their 4-cylinder and drops a 6-cylinder in. My uncle many moons ago may have put an 8-cylinder in a 6-cylinder car, but technically you need to change that.
Even if it goes from gasoline to diesel, vice versa,
Really?
propane.
Good to know. Here's a good question. Can a non-urgent patient transfer service use ambulance lights if someone's condition worsens? I don't believe that they are emergency vehicles under the thing. They're just they are transport, not emergency. I think technically they'd have to call an ambulance.
I would believe so.
Yeah, they're for stable people only, and I don't even think they're. I don't know if they're are they paramedics?
Well, I would think they would do the course, some kind of medic course.
I don't know. Maybe they're just people with uniforms. I honestly don't know. I'm not making fun of them. They do great work, and we obviously need them. Alex Vanier asks, what would happen if I didn't stop for an undercover police car? How can I know it's the police? Oh, interesting. Undercover generally don't pull people over. They're undercover. They don't tell you they're police officers, so they would probably not have lights and sirens in their car, nor would they try and stop with you. What I bet you're talking about is plain clothes or unmarked cars, and you're someone who is under not uniform very often. What would you say to this?
There is a couple options. You could call into the non-emergency line and say I'm being pulled over, and ask if we have radios in the car, and ask if somebody's in the area pulling somebody over. You could pull over and stop and ask the same question.
No, I've pulled people over in unique situations where I'm even in my own vehicle because they're doing something so dangerous, and I've used my badge and said, and literally at a stop said, "Hey, you got to turn, you got to pull over," and they have. And if they hadn't, it would have been a 911 call. But it was something minor to correct, but major enough that I had to do it. Was a child outside of not in a car seat. It was a serious concern.
Yep.
But that was a communication thing. If they chose not to, then I would have had to call somebody else to deal with it. JD mentions that Division Zero cars have lights and sirens and air horns, and they are unmarked vehicles that look like any other vehicles. They're pickup trucks, they're minivans, they're SUVs. Yeah. So what do we say about that? Well, if you see lights and sirens, pull over, because if you fail to, you're going to get charged.
Yes.
Because you've at that point you've initiated a pursuit. If we tell you to pull over by way of lights and sirens and you fail to respond and do what you're supposed to do, then guess what? You're in a pursuit situation, and we're going to phone friends.
Yes.
It does escalate quite quickly. Now, Stephen Bell was asking where the Vision Zero enforcement team is, because I'm guessing you were not here when we addressed it earlier. So I will just
14
go back.
and 33.
Is that what I said?
You did.
Your memory is better than mine, because although it came out of my mouth, I've forgotten entirely. Yeah, you're right. 14 and 33, neighborhoods of Christie, Ossington, Annex, Little Italy, Parkwoods, Donalda, Bayview Village, York Mills. But that's not to say that people around the city aren't doing their thing. We had issued over 5,000 tickets across the city, and that was I think I got that number on Monday. 5,000 tickets in the first week.
Oh,
that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's pretty bad, actually. It's kind of shameful, in fact, that there's that many people who are choosing to break the law. And we're not talking about expired license plates. We're talking about aggressive driving, things that are serious. Obviously, there's more. We look for all of it, but we focus on the stuff that leads to serious injury and death. And actually, I shouldn't say that it wasn't an expired plate. I'm sure there was at least one there. There's a lot of people, and for anyone watching who's like, okay, what's the deal with license plates? Yeah, no more stickers anymore, but you still have to renew, and it's free to renew. If you want to know how to do that really easily, go to trafficcop.ca. That's my link tree, and it'll take you at the bottom of the link tree. There are links that are useful, tell you how to renew your plates. Go to check a driver's license before lending a friend your car, because that's kind of important. If you lend your friend a car and their license isn't valid, guess who's responsible? You are. Bad things happen, and insurance doesn't work when you don't have a licensed driver. It can deny your claim, and you are the person responsible for checking. So good luck getting your vehicle replaced. Things people don't know unless they know, which is reasons to follow our page. And if you haven't already followed us on whatever platform you're watching us, please do. It helps us stay in touch. And for anyone on TikTok who isn't following, follow us, but also check out our other platforms. Because if you haven't been following the news, a lot of government agencies are being told they can't be on the platform anymore. We might be the next ones. We don't know. If you want to stay in touch and you want to be able to keep on our lives and ask us questions in the future, make sure you're following us on other channels. Not saying we're leaving, just saying that in case we find out that we have to, we want to stay in touch, because this is all about you. And on that, we have a question of what happened to Carrie Schmidt's OPP page. On TikTok in particular, they were told to take it down. The provincial government has put a ban on it. They can't be on it. We're municipal, so we've not been given the same directions that they had. Now, we also have a different way of being on the app. You may notice that we're on a widescreen format on TikTok. That's because we're not going through the app to do this. Otherwise, we'd be vertical video. This is actually being sent. The same feed that YouTube gets just happens to be going through a third-party service that is making it possible for us to send our video feed to you. And that's awesome, because we want to be able to serve you and get information to you and answer your questions, because it's all about you. Let's see here. How do people know? This is actually a funny one. How do people know that, or how do officers know people are using radar detectors? It's not as high tech. There are radar detectors.
Yep.
That technology exists. It's so simple. We watch you. It's really, really easy. When we hit the button and you respond to it, it's like a remote control. It's like we're pushing your brakes.
Yes.
It's yeah. So if we see that, we have the authority under the Highway Traffic Act in Ontario to search your vehicle and anyone in the vehicle to locate said item, and then we seize it and charge you. It's 2 demerit points, $170, and of course you lose the device, which is prohibited in Ontario. You can't buy, sell, transport, possess, like anything, and that includes jammers. Jammers are fun.
So yeah, jammers. It gives us an error code back when we shoot it at the car. Towards the car, it comes back with an error code that will give us some belief that there's a jammer.
Yeah, and even if we pretend that there's no error code, and it just tells us that you're going a speed that is, well, I don't know, slower or the same as the person next to you, but you're actually pulling away, we would say that's a clue.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that this is not rocket science. We're pretty quick on the take,
Yep.
and yeah, all we need is the belief, the suspicion that it's there, and it's enough to. What's the belief? It's not suspicion. Belief. We believe it.
Yes.
Okay. So that's a good one. I like that. We don't get a lot of questions. We had a range, a period of time where we got lots of questions on radar detectors, then it faded away. Also on speed measurement. Noah wants to know, am I allowed to ask an officer if he calibrated his radar if I was caught speeding? You can certainly ask any question you like. The answer is we don't calibrate them. We as officers don't. The manufacturer calibrates them. We test them to ensure that they're working, as per the manufacturer's guidelines, the training manual. But we don't actually calibrate.
No.
It would be interesting though.
We do a test every day. We take them out at the beginning and the end of shift.
Absolutely. And the fun thing is, if they're not working, they don't work. Like if they have an internal system that they would not function because it would fail. But we do other things to make sure that the alignment is correct. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Actually, it's not that much stuff. When I say a whole bunch, it's like 3 things: fixed distance, make sure that the thingamajiggy is thingamajigger.
Vertical and horizontal.
That's the one.
And internal tests.
Yeah, and there's yeah. So I'm not going into details, obviously, and intentionally, because that's something that is for us to know. No, we can show you machines. People ask, do they have to show you the device? We can show it to you, but we're not required to by law. And people get upset about that too.
Mm-hmm.
I have shown, but it doesn't. We don't actually. Some people say, "Well, how do we know? How do we believe you?"
My line I use all the time is, I don't get a toaster for writing tickets.
Yeah.
So, and I said that last time. I guess I was here. Now that I think about it, and so, if you're speeding, you're speeding. If you're not, I'm not going to make it up. I don't.
There's no benefit.
No benefit to me.
We don't have a quota, so there's no reason for us to do that. And if you don't think you were speeding, and obviously you would know, you would look at the speedometer when I would hope you're paying attention to your speed, because that's kind of an important factor when driving. But anyway, you know if you're speeding or not. And the fact is, we will go to court and we will testify as to our observations, and that is our evidence. So people say, well, I want a printout from the radar detector or from the radar device or the speed measurement device. There is no receipt. We get a reading, we write down and make notes about what we saw. That's it. That's all. Can you ride an e-bike with a suspended license? Actually, yes, you can, because an e-bike doesn't require a license if you qualify, if it's qualified as an e-bike, which means it doesn't break any of the rules. If it doesn't qualify, well, then you're in trouble. You can, however, be charged with impaired operation on an e-bike.
Yes.
Because the e-bike is a motor vehicle under the criminal code, even though it's considered a bicycle under the HTA. I think that's cool. I don't think I think even a bicycle under the influence of alcohol, it's a vehicle, not a motor vehicle, but I think they should be responsible because they're going to get hurt. And yeah, helmets. If you're riding a bicycle, wear a helmet, please.
Yes.
E-bike or not. I didn't know this, but the Green Pea bicycle system, they have e-bikes.
Do they?
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
up until very recently. And my big question is, I see a lot of people not wearing helmets. Helmets are a legal requirement on an e-bike. I wonder what they've done to facilitate helmet wear. Like you have to do a disclosure or I swear I got a helmet on thing. I'm just curious. How wide can my wheels be before being illegal? I don't have an answer other than it has to be covered. I don't know if there's a maximum width of tire, but it has to be beneath the fender flare or fender and mud flap.
Yes.
It can't extend beyond the body of the vehicle. And I've seen some awesome cars that are wide with wide tires that are legal. And then I see trucks that you could stand on the flat of their tire and stand like it's completely outside. It's completely illegal. Okay, question from Larry. Who pays if accident with no insurance? So that gets complicated because if you are struck by someone who has if you're in a motor vehicle, you have insurance and you're struck by somebody who has no insurance, then your insurance covers. They may sue them. Your insurance company may go after them, but for your purposes of your benefits, they come from your insurance policy. And that is, of course, something that many people get upset about, but it is what it is. If you strike a pedestrian and there is no insurance, that becomes a civil matter where they have to sue because there's no insurance. I think their personal insurance, if they have vehicle insurance, might cover them.
Vehicle insurance or home insurance.
In any case, it's a bad day at the office. Truly. Okay. We got. I got to scroll through and find all these questions. Okay. Here's a follow-up from Josh. You said e-bikes can only go 32 kilometers an hour on a flat surface. Well, downhill. So it's a great question. He's saying that the maximum speed can be 32 on a flat surface. I actually stated.
So the word is designed to go 32
on a flat surface.
On a flat surface.
So if it goes 50 downhill, that's not because your motor is driving you at 50. You're now using gravity and momentum, and there's no speed limits when it comes to e-bikes. They don't or bicycles don't qualify for speed limits, which is kind of weird. I think that they should. If you're speeding, if you're capable of doing 90, if you can pedal 90, you're an impressive human. But if you were doing 90 in a 60, you're doing 30 over. Why would you not be eligible for speeding? But the HTA doesn't say. It actually says motor vehicle, so you aren't one. Now, if you are one if you have a motor that is capable of driving you at that speed, and then you are eligible for speeding. But if your feet, it's just about feet or legs or human power. I would be very impressed if you could do 90. You get an award.
Yes.
What do we got here? Oh, we got a confirmation. The transporters are paramedics. See, I appreciate it. And thank you again, Kayla, for reminding that you can buy tickets to buy a Harley. And I have really not done my job when it comes to promoting this. I think every time I've mentioned it, it is because Kayla has said to, Harley. And I'm going to do a quick pitch of the, or showing off the website because I can do that. So if I can do it, I should. At least that's the rumor. Here we go. Sharing the thing. You can buy 1 ticket for 20, 3 tickets for 50, or 8 tickets for 100. Can I move myself over here? No, that's the wrong way. In any case, it's a 2022 Harley Davidson, brand new, and it could be yours. And the money raised goes to Special Olympics Ontario, which is a magical group of people. It's a good reason to give money, but you also have the chance of winning, and winning is awesome.
I can't remember if I bought mine this year or not.
I have not bought mine. I have not bought mine.
You
I
didn't
need
make
to
the
buy
first
mine.
deadline, March 1st.
I know. I was actually saying that, and I want to make it before May 3rd so I can be entered to win a $250 Tim Hortons gift card, and definitely before July 5th so I can be entered into a $500 Harley Davidson gift card opportunity. Okay. Oh, here's an interesting one. Amanda Space Car has a question. I got a parking ticket with a rental and I was never even there. How can this happen? That's a good question for Aaron, who is over there. Amanda wants to know how she could get a parking ticket for a vehicle when she wasn't where they said she was on a rental vehicle. I got a parking ticket with a rental and I was never even there. How can this happen? It could have been an officer error, and you'd need to respond to the city. But I guess with a rental, they get the ticket. Maybe they were wrong with their filing. Maybe they. Oh,
It could have
well,
been.
there's a lot of couldas beans. We don't have an actual answer in terms of definitively how it would have happened. But certainly, if you weren't there and you can, support that, then take it to court, challenge it because it makes it difficult. Now, I understand that when it's a rental company, you sign an agreement saying you're taking responsibility for any tickets they get. Maybe the rental company made a mistake. Maybe they have a clerical error because they would have been issued the ticket, not you. And then, yeah, they're just coming to get the money. So challenge them. And you know what? An interesting thing that well, I don't know if it really tracks you, but if you can establish to the rental company, like, hey, here's where I was because I have a bill from being at the other end of the country, that might go a long way. Okay. G2 driver. Can a G2 driver drive someone else's car? Yes. If it's a licensed vehicle, you can borrow it if you are given permission to take it. If you take it without permission, that becomes a criminal matter. It's unfortunate, but true. What do we have here? GM, this is Tamuli. Did I say that right? Can you please provide any defensive driving technique to avoid a flying tire off another vehicle on the highway? Usually we see a spike in such incidents during this time of year and fall. A defensive drive. You know what? Leave your spouse lots of room. I think that's a
Yep.
big thing. If you are so close to another vehicle that, if you're right beside the vehicle, it'll happen before you know it's happening, and it will have happened. There'll be no time to respond. But stay back. Keep space away from big vehicles. Big trucks just need space in general.
Yep.
And I'm knowing that these things happen. I've seen some wild videos. My kids and I will scroll through crash videos on Instagram. That's become our new thing, and it is wild to see some of these collisions.
Yep.
I saw one where a driver drove into someone's vehicle hauler trailer, and then caused it to jackknife.
Wow.
Wild stuff. I should start reposting these on my personal voiceover cop Instagram because I think they're amazing.
I watched one yesterday, a Honda CRV hitting the back of a bus on TikTok.
I saw that one too.
Yeah,
It was a stop bus, and then
Yeah.
that was a good one. Not a good thing, not a good thing at all. I don't understand how you. Well, it's because they were distracted, whether they were lost in thought or on their phone. They were doing something absolutely that they shouldn't be doing because collisions are avoidable if you just pay attention. Minor ones, they happen. The ones that lead to serious injury or damage and death, those are ones that are people could have just paid attention, probably, or slowed down, or a combination thereof. And we got it. Kyle, who's a regular.
Oh, Kyle Hawkins.
Yes, we know Kyle. Happy Friday, guys. If a pedestrian and a driver arrive at a crosswalk at the same time, is the driver legally obligated to allow the pedestrian to cross? Is there a ticket for failing to do so? So it's a funny thing, this somebody approaching at the same time. It really leaves a lot. But the driver has to yield to a pedestrian who is about to enter the roadway, but it has to be clear. It has to be understood that they're entering. Because I've stopped for people who are just standing there, having no intention. They're completely lost in thought. And you sit there and you're waiting, and you're like, I've honked at people, and then eventually they wave me along. They have to be in motion. They're walking towards the crosswalk. They can't be expected to stop just because you've arrived. Is essentially how I've interpreted it. But at the same time, they still need to look left and right, and they should be looking at you, and you should be looking at them, and between y'all, you come to a thing. But if you've prevented them from, if you fail to yield, there's a charge.
Fail to yield to pedestrian, yes.
Yeah, obviously, if they're legally in the roadway, it's a non-starter. But that would suggest that they were there first. I err on the side of caution. If I'm there with a pedestrian, I'm going to wait a couple of seconds to figure out what they're doing.
Exactly.
But that would be the charge. It's not like not let them go first. It's fail to yield. Yeah, the onus is on the driver at that point. And the question is that the answer you were expecting? Because almost always, whenever I've spoken to Kyle on the phone, he's like, "You've answered me in a way that I was not expecting." so this one I think was probably on what you were expecting, but that's me guessing. All right, if you speed fast enough, what is this? If you speed fast enough, you can maybe get your proof on Twitter when the officer impounds you. It's entirely possible that if you hit those high scores, which are not anything to be proud of, yeah, we generally tweet about those people that
Oh, I
were
did this morning.
yes. What
I
was the
did this
speed on that
morning.
one?
179 and a 70.
So now here's the question. That's stunt driving without a question. But is that, in your opinion, dangerous drive, criminal?
Very well could be. There's to make that dangerous drive, leap to dangerous drive, is going to be marked departure, which it is. It's going to be done in a dangerous manner. It has to do with the time of day, traffic. The officer, I wasn't there. It wasn't my stop. It was another officer's. There may not have been evidence. I don't know what the evidence was. I can tell you that not only did they get the stunt driving charge, they got the speeding charge for 179 and a 70, and they also got a careless driving ticket.
Not enviable, not smart. There is no reason to speed unless you are just trying to itch that scratch. Well, there's no reason, but people who do it are trying to itch that scratch. They're trying to, or scratch that itch. They're trying to do some thrill seeking, and it's stupid. It is no other way to say it. It is absolutely stupid to travel at those speeds. No one no one else on the road is expecting you to go that fast. So people are making judgments based on what they believe you're going to do, which usually ends up in a collision. And then people try and blame the person who did the legal maneuver, not anticipating something that's going to arrive in a snap, because that's just ridiculous speed. You want to go that fast, take it to the track.
Yeah.
And I would, in my opinion, once that speed is something I'd probably arrest for. Obviously, if they met all the criteria in order to substantiate a charge. But it is reckless.
Yep.
Reckless disregard for the safety of everyone on the road, and even the idiot behind the wheel. Yeah. Do administrative suspensions impact your insurance? We talked about that briefly earlier. It could. They see the suspension.
Honestly, it's not supposed to, but I don't know. I don't have the real answer to that.
Well, they have the ability to assess your driving, and it's a private company, and they look at the information and determine
Risk.
what they do with it.
It's risk.
Yeah. And people play a lot of games and get out of a lot of court. But if you're having suspensions that are 3 days, they know it's because of alcohol. And that's a serious situation for insurance companies. What is this? We talked about this already. We covered this one. Is it legal to maneuver a motorcycle through stop traffic? So this is that lane splitting versus lane sharing. If you are, if you're, I'll give you an example. You're on the highway and you are driving and you're splitting traffic. You're driving between two lanes. It used to be failed to drive in marked lane.
Yes.
And that's a charge that's no longer on the books, but it would qualify for careless driving. Obviously, it's going to depend. It could even be stunt. You're talking about a marked departure. It's unsafe. You're certainly careless in your operation because you're driving. Have you seen how other vehicles drive? Even if they're stopped, it's stop and go. People on their phones, they're weaving in and out. You could be causing a huge collision, and it is not a specific charge, but I think it certainly qualifies and would support a charge of careless, at very least.
Yep.
But yeah, now it's a little different than pulling up between two cars, and although not legal or illegal, it's kind of in a gray zone. If you're the last vehicle and you're in a pack of cars, it's a red light. Many riders have said, well, I just want to move in between two cars because if someone decides not to stop, I'm but a small bike, and it's my legs and it's my body that are going to take the impact. So I understand the idea of tucking yourself between two other vehicles just so you have they're the vehicles that get hit, not you. I would say that's reasonable because it's not it's articulable. You can explain why you're doing it, and you're not causing that road rage response when people are like going, "Why is he able?" What? And that's a big thing. You're hurting people's feelings. Let's see here. Why do I have to wear a seatbelt and get a ticket for not wearing one when it only affects me?
Well, it doesn't only affect you.
Yeah, that's a good point. We're in Canada. I don't know where you are, Nick, but we're in Canada, and more specifically Ontario. And when you get injured, guess who pays for it? Yeah, we do. Everyone does. It's taxpayer money. That's part of it, but it's also impacting the ambulance paramedics who are attending. to transport you and treat you. It's the ambulance. Sorry, I said ambulance. Fire truck. It's the police. It's all the emergency services that are now responding to your call. That's tax dollars at work too. Not to mention the trauma that you're causing the people who are there trying to save your life when you didn't show enough respect for it in the first place by not
And
wearing
your
a seatbelt.
family.
Well, there's that, but maybe his family doesn't like him, and that's possible. But I'm kidding, of course. There are people who have exemptions for medical reasons not to wear the seatbelt. It's not, in my opinion, a good thing, but for whatever reason, a doctor may sign off on a note saying you don't have to wear one. If you're a taxi driver and you have a passenger, legally you're not required to wear one while the passenger is in the back. If you're
Below 40 kilometers an hour.
with a passenger, I thought that was for deliveries only.
I thought it was with. I thought it was with.
I-
I thought the speed was on that too.
It might be. I was under the impression it was any passenger, but you might be right. Let's find out. 100% is 40 kilometers an hour if you are on a delivery. If you're a delivery person making constant stops, actively pursuing that business of delivery, and then you can't exceed the thing. So let's go seatbelt. Because now I often forget why is seatbelt not returning a response? Am I in a subcategory here? No. Seat. Is it 2 words? Seatbelt. How do I not know this?
There's an equipment.
Seatbelt, 2 words. I would have thought seatbelt would be 1 word. Well, I'm making stuff up. Drive with seatbelt removed. Drive with seatbelt modified. Maybe it's not even going to be here.
It's
Fail to wear seatbelt. Yeah, I have to go into the actual 106.2. Mm-hmm. I need thinking music.
I could sing if you want.
You know what? I'm cool with that if you want to.
I don't want to. My kids may be watching or watching later.
Seatbelts. Here we go. So exemptions is what I'm looking for. Exceptions. Who is driving a motor vehicle in reverse? We talked about that before. If you have to back up, you're legally permitted to take off your seatbelt for that moment. Who holds a certificate signed by a legally qualified medical practitioner certifying that the person, for a period stated in the certificate, unable for medical reasons to wear a seatbelt, or because of the person's side, build, or other physical characteristics, unable to wear a seatbelt assembly, or who is actually engaged in work which requires him or her to be alight from and re-enter the motor vehicle in frequent intervals, and the motor vehicle does not travel at speed exceeding 40 kilometers an hour. That is the delivery person situation. And then, okay, we covered that one. Where's the one for taxi? I know it exists. Come on. Well, it's not helping me because I can't find it. Maybe it's being removed. Maybe they can't take the seatbelt off anymore. Do you think it's being amended? More on this, not now.
No.
So JD says it's taxi driver with fare in cab. JD, is it with a speed? But we still can't find. I'm actually in the in 106 section 106 of the HGA dealing with seatbelts, so I'll have to come back and do that more. But they weren't even asking about it. Nobody even cares. We're just going down a rabbit hole because you just want to know why it's not yours. Why it's you can get a ticket for not wearing one when you don't care to wear one. Now, if you have a vehicle that was manufactured before seatbelts were a law, you can actually. I would feel horribly uncomfortable if I don't wear a seatbelt. I feel naked.
My parents have an older car that didn't have seatbelts on it, but they put it in just for the safety reasons.
There you go. Wait, JD says new show on CTV. Is it us in the seatbelt show? What show are we talking about, JD? Oh, Rabbit Hole with Kiefer. Really? Come on.
Oh, I better not watch that.
Why? What kind of
rabbit hole? I am always in rabbit holes.
We are the rabbit hole people. Maybe we need to be guest stars. What is it even about? Is it? I didn't want to know. Okay. We talked about this. We talked about that. If someone here. I don't know if we can answer it so well, but we can speculate. If someone out of province uses the ETR, how does the bill get sent? I used it in December, no bill. So they can look up your address and they can send you a bill. You are responsible.
Yeah. So they have reciprocal agreements with other provinces and states, and they'll get your address and send you the bill. For example, I went to Florida back in the fall, and I went on the New York State Thruway, and they sent me a bill.
Lots of fun. Akash wants to know, can I check if my car has any red light ticket, auto speeding ticket, without coming to the station? It's actually not a station thing. It's got nothing to do with us. We don't run the program. It's the city of Toronto. You will be mailed one, but generally you wait till you get notified as opposed to, hunting it down. Could you go to the ministry?
I know you can do it with parking tickets.
Can you?
I can. You can do it with parking tickets. If you go to this City of Toronto website, you can look up your parking tickets on there. I don't know if you can look up the other stuff. I don't think so, but I know parking tickets you can.
Chase looked it up for us. The taxi cab drivers, while transporting a passenger for hire, must wear a seatbelt when traveling alone, but they don't have to wear it otherwise. And it does not have a speed requirement, according to Chase, who usually knows stuff. Hey, Sarge.
Hi.
What's cooking?
How are you?
I'm doing all right.
I see you got a new guest here.
Yes, right.
He's not a new guest. He's an old guest recycled. He's come back to help us out.
So
That's awesome.
Sergeant Campbell was my very first supervisor when I got hired. And he follows me. Actually, I followed him down here.
I think you did follow me down here. He knew good things.
Yes.
Let's see. Here's an interesting question from Matt. If my neighbor's kids constantly leave their bikes on my property, what can I do and what's my authority? Interesting question. Someone's put stuff on your property and abandoned it, but you know who it is. I would say that this is a tough thing, neighbors. This is beyond legal. This is a question of managing your relationship, because you could get into angry letters and complaints to police and bylaw. And maybe there's a bylaw thing there. I don't know if is there a bicycle left on bicycle. You could probably do a lot of things that would probably make your life miserable.
I would just take it up and put it on their lawn.
Moving it.
That's probably the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, and would you have the authority to pick up an item abandoned on your property and move it, especially if you were returning it to the rightful owner?
Yes.
Yeah. And if you can make that conversation friendly somehow, even though you're annoyed, and I know it's difficult, I would try and have a conversation with the dads. And maybe there's a perspective to put it that isn't, stop putting your stuff on my stuff. And maybe it's I don't want your stuff to go missing or get damaged perspective. Just,
Yep.
Different ways of looking at it.
Sometimes being friendly will get the job done, as opposed to taking some other action.
Yep. Our friend from Alberta, Logan Grant, the man with the hat, the man with the beard. Fun fact: according to he is a I'm going to mess it up now. A community officer. Is that the right rank title? Special constable-ish. It's different than, it's not special constable, but it's almost special. No, it is.
It's a sheriff.
He's a sheriff. He's not a sheriff. No, he's different. He's different. He does enforcement of their traffic act, and I've gone and messed up the rank. So please correct me in the chat. So, fun fact: fail to yield to a pedestrian in Alberta is an $810 ticket for those who like to stand next to a crosswalk and just stand there. I like getting on my loudspeaker and telling them to move. So that's a good question, and we talked about this earlier, Sarge. And it was Kyle who asked the question: if a car and a pedestrian meet at an intersection at the same time, who has the right of way? And we talked about failing to yield to a pedestrian. So the problem is, at what point is it a pedestrian not going? And can you determine you can make the turn? I basically suggested that if they're in motion on their way to the intersection and they're about to step off, that would be where you are required to yield. And if they're just standing around and making no indication of traveling, then you may not.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And if the vehicle is actually started in motion and crossing through, and the pedestrian steps off the curb in front of that vehicle, they
Good
can
point.
be charged.
They may not be able to hear you, so I'll repeat that. If the vehicle's already in the midst of turning, they've already initiated the turn, the pedestrian shows up afterwards, the pedestrian can be charged. It's a good point, because we didn't really explore that, because we talked about being there at the same time. But once that driver has begun, if the pedestrian has not made any indication that they're about to go, they're just hanging around. If they change their mind once you've started moving, they're in the wrong, not you. I like that. Oh, and Chase really wants me to share a volley. And that is, what are we talking about here? That's old? This is new? That's here, 49 minutes ago. Holy moly. That I was late to the party. Let's pull this up. And There we go. Can I see it? Let's go here.
So can these construction people stop all the traffic to let a digger through?
Okay, I realize that we're actually blocked by this. Hang on a second. Help. There we go. I have two screens and mice all over the place. So can they stop traffic, or can they control traffic? So Sarge, and to my other than me people, the waving you through a red light, not something they can do, but stopping traffic.
So I didn't have the advantage of hearing the audio.
Oh,
so
because I got headphones
okay.
on. So
they want to know if the construction crew can stop traffic to allow the digger to go through.
So I don't see him stopping traffic because it looks like the light is red.
He's
for
got
them.
he's also got a stop. I think he's got a stop sign in his hand. Well, we're going to replay it for.
So can these construction people stop all the traffic?
Yeah, he's got a stop sign in his
a
hand.
digger through.
That's a stop sign.
Yes.
Yep. But the light is also red.
Well, he's stopping, I think, the traffic from the other side. He's locking down the intersection.
So as long as that construction is being done on behalf of the municipality that has jurisdiction over the road, then Book 7 says that a traffic control person can stop the flow of traffic. They can do it for traffic only and not pedestrians. But if it is a private construction site, say they're working on a condo or something like that, they do not have any authority.
Well, there you go. So just to recap, in case you didn't hear it clearly, if it's being done on behalf of the road work on the road, it's on behalf of the city. If I'm paraphrasing that properly, they have the authority to stop traffic. If it's on behalf of a construction site that is private, like a condominium complex being built, they would not have the authority. Okay. What is the question here? Talked about this. Okay, fun fact, we covered that. Apparently, we're having some big time lag, audio and video on TikTok in particular. It's legal to flash your high beams to someone to warn them about a cop. Is it legal? It is improper use of your high beams. It's immoral because what you're doing is you're going to warn them about a cop so they don't get a ticket. And what's going to happen is they're going to slow down temporarily and then they're going to speed up again and potentially kill someone, which kind of is your fault at that point because you're contributing to that. Me guilting you into not doing that. We want to catch people. We want to give them tickets, not because we get a free toaster at the end of the month, but because we want to change their behavior so they're safer on the road for you and for everybody else. If that person were to continue speeding and getting away with it because of the fact that you interfered, so they go off and they were to hurt someone in your family, how would that make you feel? And everyone gets puffy chested and say, no, seriously, that's contributing to unsafe roads. Can you discuss administrators? No, I think we talked about this already.
Yep.
Let me scroll down. And we have 1 minute. So there's lots of lag on YouTube too. That's so weird. I wonder why that's happening today. Maybe it's a restream thing.
It's me.
It is. It's a lot of energy here.
No.
Oh, Chase says he's been watching this show for years. How long until TPS sends him a toaster? I think you
first.
You win the prize for best comment today. There's actually no prize because there's no toasters. What do we have here?
Oh, I like that one. The one from Black Viper, 2 up.
Okay, there we go. Black Viper, can I tint my windshield?
No.
I wonder if you're just trolling us because you know how much that bothers us. But it's absolutely it is unsafe. It would actually be a situation where you would have your license plate pulled. It's an unsafe vehicle. There's an HTA charge and the fact that it's an unsafe motor vehicle. So that would be interesting. So just as follow-up, a lot of people complaining about lag on YouTube, lag on TikTok. I have an equal number of people who have said they do not have have not experienced any lag at all. So it's very interesting. It may be your connections, not ours. So nana boo boo. I hope that's not the case. I hope it's all our fault. It would never be you. Ooh.
Move that one down from there too. We got a minute. We're over by a minute.
Yes, but we're okay to go over as long as you're okay to go over.
I have a
You have a thing.
I have a meeting at noon in Scarborough.
Is it the bottom one here, the speed?
No, that one about can I go through a red light?
Oh,
if it's emergency.
Oh, I like that one. That's a good one.
No. No.
So
Hard no.
no. Wait. How do we make it loud? No, I don't know what button that is.
Just push it. See what it does.
No,
that's crickets. No.
magic answer is no.
Oh, good.
The genie says no. I don't know. It's got to come
What's
up.
that orange one do?
Which one?
The one above. No, the one above it.
That's
Okay.
not. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, that's enough. The answer is that only police, fire, ambulance with full emergency equipment can go through a red signal. You who do not have that equipment are not only not legal, even if you had the equipment, you're not legally permitted to, but you could be causing a collision, causing yourself to be the next patient in line for more help.
But then again, if it's that much of an emergency, you probably should be calling emergency services.
That's it. Let the professional drivers, the people with the equipment and the training to do it. A big thing with emergencies that people fail to understand is that back in the day, like 80 years ago, the ambulance came and rushed you to the hospital because the medical care took place at the hospital. Now advanced medical care takes place in the ambulance right there. They're able to they're able to stabilize you, give you medical treatment at a high level, because they are not just drivers of buses.
I've had a couple occasions where I've stopped somebody speeding. They're saying, "I'm rushing my friend to the hospital." Oh, so you want me to call you an ambulance? And then they back off.
Well, yeah, because that's usually the excuse that people give. But I will activate if it's truly an emergency. If someone's having a baby, we can have that baby right here. Coppers deliver babies or have assisted in the delivery of babies all on a regular basis. And I'm not going to let you twice. I've never. I was there for my kids. That's it.
And they named them Sergeant Campbell.
They're all Sergeant Campbell. Sergeant Campbell. The deal is that we're not going to say, go ahead. We're not going to give you an escort there. We're going to call the ambulance and we're going to get direction from the next steps, because we're not going to put you in harm's way, and you would be putting yourself in harm's way. Can I get a ticket for going 3 kilometers over the speed limit? Yeah, technically you
yes.
can. Yeah. It's against law. There'd be no justified reason for why you should be able to go faster than the limit. The limit's a limit, not a suggestion. A lot of people really have a problem with speed limits. And I have a problem with people who have a problem with speed limits, because
speed limit,
not minimum. People say, well, what happens when people go under the speed limit? They're in their way. No, it's a limit. It's not. It's the maximum. You're permitted legally to travel below it. Just stay to the right. So when I do the speed limit, oddly enough, I'm the slowest car on the road, but I'm in the right lane. And people are passing me like I'm not moving, and they're probably cursing. And it's good, because the rest of their day is ruined because I was doing the lawful thing, which makes me happy. Morning from Oklahoma, USA. Well, good morning to you, Dylan. And we've spoken before, Dylan. Are you visiting, or are you from Oklahoma? Because we've talked before. And then finally, Armin says, can I do a citizen's arrest? Well, a citizen's arrest is a thing you can do under certain circumstances, and not knowing what those circumstances are might have you doing an unlawful arrest, which could make you liable and possibly paying a lot of money for your error. That's a problem. We've been asked to not forget dad jokes, because we had forgotten dad jokes for the last couple of days. So let's get to this is possibly my favorite joke of the weekends. Actually, I can't even take credit for it because Sergeant Campbell gave it to me. But because I'm a tech guy who likes Apple stuff, if you see a crime at an Apple store, does that make you an eyewitness? I love it. That was good. Not everybody will like it, but I like it, and that's all that matters.
Because I'm the towing guy.
Sergeant Campbell's got another one.
Can
I read this one here?
Sure.
What do you call an illegally parked frog?
What do you call an illegally parked frog?
Toad.
It's
come on.
That's a
good one.
How do you know flowers are friendly? They always have new buds. I don't know. I can't decide. Neither. Let's see here. We have yesterday's joke that we didn't read. The Bermuda Philharmonic Orchestra keeps having to cancel concerts. Their triangle player is always disappearing. Okay, maybe, I don't know. The 17th, which is today. St. Patrick's Day puns. Don't shame. Oh my God. Okay. St. Patrick's Day puns don't shame just you. They shame us all. That's good.
Seamus.
I like that. I gotta post that on. I like that a lot.
All right.
And was this Campbell soup? And the perfect joke for that joke, perfect for spring. That was the buds. I think that
Yes.
was my wife responding to the buds. We got here. What is this? Nathan, can I get a ticket for my headlights being too bright? Yeah, they're
Yes.
improper. If they're too bright, they're improper. Absolutely. And Chase likes the towing jokes. Yeah. Do we do the Saturday and Sunday jokes? Because we're on a roll.
Do it.
Over five. Is it over 5/4 of all people admit they are bad with fractions?
5/4.
5/4.
It's
See,
an
I'm
American,
back.
it's an American joke.
Fractions.
It's an American joke. 5/4.
Yeah. I've heard that balloons are really scared of music, especially pop music.
All right.
Those are terrible. Okay.
All right.
With that,
Yes.
I must say,
I got to go myself.
yeah, that we got to go. But it has been an absolute pleasure spending FriYAY with you. We will be back on Monday to do it all again. So if you are hanging out, then know that we will try and I might schedule a podcast to play or something to entertain over the weekend. But generally speaking, we don't do anything on the weekend. So Monday, 10 o'clock. And I'm really just dancing, trying to get a screen to show up because yesterday I didn't play this. And I need to, and that is the traffic song, which I'm queuing up right now. But have a great weekend. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Drive sober. That means no drugs, no alcohol. There's no excuse. And we want you to all get home after your celebrations. And what's going on? This computer stinks. I did double click.
Mine's slow too.
I don't know what's going on, but it's getting slower. Is that just a Windows thing?
I don't know.
All I know is it's unacceptable. This is like 30 seconds to play of an audio file. It's an audio file. Eventually, it's going to show up, and then I'll stop talking. Oh, I'm giving up. Okay. Yeah, I'm giving up. Have a great weekend, everybody. Be well. Stay safe. See you Monday. And there it is.
Whoa, perfect timing.
I said I was giving up. There was no hands playing. All right. Be well, everybody.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt, save your life indeed. And watch your driving, don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail and not get free. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic